Was geht ab, meine Damen und Herren? Herzlich willkommen zu einem neuen Video. Happy Monday. And I've got another article for you today. This is another crime-related article. For those of you who don't know me, which is all of you, I am a huge true crime junkie through and through. My whole family is. It's in my blood. It's in my genes. So I guess you could say I am predisposed to pick articles that are crime related or deal with legal shenanigans or things of that nature. So got another one here for you today. Let's get right into it. Ermittlungen gegen Kinderpsychiater. That word is very hard for me, by the way, just the pronunciation. So bear with me as I continue to pronounce that very poorly throughout this video. Razzia in Kinderarztpraxis. Michael Winterhoff, 67, wird gefährliche Körperverletzung vorgeworfen. It says child psychiatrist under investigation. Raid at pediatrician's office. Michael Winterhoff, 67, accused of causing serious bodily harm. Deutschlands bekanntester Kinderpsychiater, Dr. Michael Winterhoff, 66, aus Bonn, in seiner Praxis. It says Dr. Michael Winterhoff, 66. Is he 67 or 66? Because it says 67 right here. Build, why are you gaslighting me right now? Anyway, let's go with 66. Just to flatter you, Michael. It says Germany's most famous child psychiatrist at his Bonn office. By the way, Bonn is a pretty popular city about 15 miles south of Cologne, so it's on the west side. War ein gern gesehener Gast in sämtlichen deutschen Talkshows. Sein Buch Warum Kinder Tyrannen werden war ein Bestseller. Jetzt ist Kinderpsychiater Michael Winterhoff ins Visier der Bonner Staatsanwaltschaft geraten. It says he was a welcome guest on all the German talk shows. His book, Why Children Become Tyrants, was a bestseller. Child psychiatrist Michael Winterhoff has now attracted the attention of the Bonn DA's office, or the German equivalent of that, the public prosecutor's office, if you will. Lesen wir mal weiter. Gegen den 67-Jährigen wird wegen des Verdachts der gefährlichen Körperverletzung ermittelt. Jetzt hat die Justiz laut Bonner Generalanzeiger, Süddeutsche Zeitung und WDR seine Praxisräume durchsuchen lassen. Auch Kinder- und Jugendhilfeeinrichtungen, die mit Michael Winterhoff zusammengearbeitet hätten, seien kontrolliert worden. Etwa 100 Beamte sollen bei Razzien in 15 Jugendhilfeeinrichtungen in Nordrhein-Westfalen, Rheinland-Pfalz und Niedersachsen im Einsatz gewesen sein. Sie beschlagnahmten laut Süddeutsche Zeitung zahlreiche Patientenakten. It says the 67-year-old is under investigation for suspectedly causing serious bodily harm. According to the Bonn newspaper Generalanzeiger, which is a regional paper, Süddeutsche Zeitung, this is probably one of the biggest newspapers in Germany. I believe they're based in Munich, also München, and then also WDR, which stands for Westdeutscher Rundfunk, so the West German Broadcasting Corporation, which is based in Cologne. So according to these three sources, the court had his offices searched. Support centers for children and youth, diese Jugendhilfeeinrichtungen, these are kind of like foster homes or other temporary facilities where children are housed who have been abused or neglected until they can find, permanent placement for them. So any of these centers that had worked with him or worked in collaboration with him are under inspection. Nearly 100 officials are said to have been on duty during raids of 15 of these youth care facilities across 3 different German states. Those would be Nordrhein-Westfalen. This is a Western German state, home to cities like Dortmund, Essen, Düsseldorf, and Cologne. And then we have Rheinland-Pfalz, another Western state which borders Luxembourg. And finally, Niedersachsen, which is in the northwest corner, home to cities such as Bremen and Hanover. So essentially the west side of Germany. According to SZ, which is the Süddeutsche Zeitung, they seized countless patient files or patient records. Schon im August 2021 wurde über erste Vorwürfe gegen den Mediziner berichtet. Der WDR und die Süddeutsche Zeitung schrieben damals über falsche Diagnosen, möglichen Abrechnungsbetrug und auch die von ihm viel zu häufig verschriebenen Psychopharmaka. Again, I apologize. Wie das unter Experten umstrittene Mittel Pipamperon. Initial accusations against the physician had been reported as early as August of 2021. At that time, there were reports from the WDR and Süddeutsche Zeitung of misdiagnoses, potential submission of false claims, in other words, billing fraud, basically, and his excessive prescribing of psychotropic drugs such as Pipamperon, which is controversial among experts. So, you know, there's the classic case of the doctor turned drug dealer. You know, there's a lot of bad doctors out there who, once they get access to some of this stuff, they get a little trigger happy, right? Just start prescribing stuff left and right. I mean, hey, prescription drugs are a commodity like anything else, and there will always be a black market for them. You know, it's hard to fathom how easily some of these medical professionals just blatantly disregard the oaths that they took. I'm sure they rationalize it in their head somehow. But in this particular case, it's kind of hard for me to pin down a motive, just because of the fact that he's dealing with children. You know, my first instinct in these kind of situations is always financial. But I mean, the question here is, like, where would the money be changing hands exactly? Because you have, like, classic cases where, you know, the doctor's making fraudulent prescriptions to their adult patients who are then compensating them sort of like a kickback because, you know, they really need the drug for whatever reason, whether they're addicted or they're reselling it to someone, and they can't obtain it through legitimate medical means. And then you have other instances where, you know, doctors might have like a quota to fill in terms of prescriptions, or you know, there might be a financial incentive in place for them to prescribe as much as possible. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see as this investigation continues what the motive was, if there was a motive. I mean, was this truly just medical malpractice? You know, was this just the result of pure negligence on the part of this doctor, or was this legitimate fraud? Were there other underlying motives for this? So let's read on and see if we can get some answers. Winterhoff soll laut Generalanzeiger Kindern systematisch und ohne ausführliche Anamnese eine fachlich nicht anerkannte Diagnose gestellt haben. Er habe angeblich in mehreren Fällen ohne medizinische Notwendigkeit Psychopharmaka verschrieben. Auf Bildanfrage teilte damals zum Beispiel das Jugendamt St. Augustin mit. Quote, aufgrund ernstzunehmender Hinweise auf schwerwiegende Qualitativmängel bei der Diagnostik und der medizinisch-psychologischen Behandlung von Kindern und Jugendlichen der Praxis Dr. Winterhoff werde man die Zusammenarbeit aussetzen. SPD-Familienpolitiker Dennis Melzer sprach von einem handfesten Skandal, sollten sich die Vorwürfe bewahrheiten. It says, according to Generalanzeiger, this newspaper, Winterhoff is said to have systematically made diagnoses for children that were not professionally recognized and without a thorough review of their medical history. On many occasions, he allegedly prescribed psychotropic drugs without there being a medical necessity to do so. Upon inquiry from Bild, the Jugendamt St. Augustin, so a Jugendamt is like the equivalent of like social services or CPS. So they shared that, quote, as a result of grave indications of serious qualitative deficiencies in the diagnosis process, as well as the medical and psychological treatment of children and youth provided by Dr. Winterhoff's practice, they will no longer be working in conjunction with him. It says, SPD Familienpolitiker. So, just for background, SPD is the Sozialdemokratische Partei Deutschlands, Social Democratic Party of Germany, which is basically a center-left or moderate-left party. This is one of Germany's two major political parties, the other one being the CDU, die Christlich-Demokratische Union Deutschlands, and that party is more center-right. So those are the two big ones. Just in terms of members and parliament seats, there's a number of additional parties as well, but we are reaching the 15-minute mark, so that is for another video. Also, and then Familienpolitiker, there's not like a direct translation for this in English, but basically it is a politician who specializes in family policy. So